Welcome to today's Explainer. You know, we spend roughly a third of our entire lives doing it, yet it remains one of biology's absolute greatest mysteries. I'm talking about sleep. Today, we're diving into the highly active, seriously mechanical process your brain uses to clean itself, literally wash itself, every single night. Because it turns out, when you close your eyes and drift off, your brain isn't just resting. It's actually clocking in and going to work.
So why do we even surrender consciousness every night? It's an evolutionary paradox that researchers at the University of Rochester have really been digging into. Just think about it from a survival standpoint. Sleep seems like a terrible idea, right? Why would humans, and basically all animals, risk total vulnerability to predators, rivals, and the elements every single night? Lying paralyzed in the dark for 8 hours is a massive evolutionary gamble. What biological payoff could possibly make that level of risk worth it?
Well, to answer that, here's our roadmap for today. We'll look at the brain's garbage problem, the glymphatic system revealed, how brain waves act as neural pumps, what happens when brain clearance fails, and finally, optimizing your brain's cleanup.
All right, Section 1, the brain's garbage problem. To understand the incredible solution our bodies came up with, we first have to look at the heavy toll of our daily thoughts. Thinking is exhausting work on a cellular level. Your brain only makes up about 2% of your total body mass. 2%! But it demands a massive 20% of your body's total energy just to keep you thinking, moving, and breathing throughout the day. It's kind of like stuffing a massive V8 engine inside a tiny little sports car. But here's the catch. That relentless fuel consumption creates a serious physical waste problem. Just like a powerful engine produces exhaust, your brain produces toxic byproducts every single time a neuron fires.
When those neurons burn fuel, they leave behind this toxic metabolic exhaust. We're talking specifically about proteins called amyloid-beta and tau. Now, imagine just leaving your household trash to pile up in your living room for months on end. Gross, right? Well, in the brain, if these junk proteins are left alone, they literally clump together and form dense plaques. And this actual garbage buildup is a primary culprit behind cognitive decline and neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. If we don't actively take out the trash, the whole system eventually breaks down.
Which brings us to Section 2, the glymphatic system revealed.
Humanity has actually sensed this cleanup process for an incredibly long time. If you look all the way back to the 1st century, ancient Unani medicine recognized this concept called istifraga damag, which literally translates to brain waste clearance. They used herbal remedies like Ustagoya Deuce as a sort of broom for the brain. But fast forward through centuries of medical advancement, and it wasn't until 2012 that modern science, led by Dr. Macon Niedergard at the University of Rochester, discovered the actual physical plumbing network responsible. They called it the glymphatic system. And incredibly, just recently in 2024, Washington University researchers finally figured out exactly how the fluid actually gets pumped through this whole system.
The way this mechanism functions on a microscopic level is absolutely mind-blowing. There are these specialized gateways called AQP-4 or AQP-4 channels located on astrocyte cells that bridge the gap between your blood vessels and brain tissue. And here is the really crazy part. During deep sleep, your brain cells literally shrink. They physically contract. This opens up microscopic space between the cells, allowing these AQP-4 gateways to flood the brain with fresh cerebral spinal fluid. This clean fluid mixes with the dirty fluid already in there and flushes out that toxic amyloid-beta waste right into the body's lymphatic vessels, eventually sending it to the liver to be broken down.
Moving right along to Section 3, brain waves as neural pumps.
So we have this fluid, right? But here's a fascinating physics problem. Fluid doesn't just casually drift through incredibly dense brain tissue on its own. It needs a powerful engine to drive it. Well, that groundbreaking 2024 WashU study revealed that your neurons actually act as miniature pumps while you sleep. When you drop into deep sleep, your neurons aren't just chilling out. They start firing off these highly synchronized electrical pulses. Think of an entire massive stadium of people doing the wave all at once. These synchronized pulses generate rhythmic, slow brainwaves, which physically act as a pump. They propel that cleaning fluid right through the dense tissue, forcefully flushing the garbage out. And the taller the brainwave, the more force it pushes with.
Look, nobody likes doing the dishes, right? Not even your brain. But Dr. Li-Feng Zhangxie's team points out that the brain's cleaning process is exactly like washing dirty dishes. First, your brain uses these deep, slow, high-amplitude sweeping waves to rinse away the easy, soluble waste. Then, it literally shifts gears into faster, tighter waves to scrub away the stubborn, really sticky proteins, and actually adapts its own cleaning method in real time depending on what kind of garbage it needs to clear. How cool is that?
Let's look at Section 4.
when brain clearance fails.
Unfortunately, this incredible internal dishwasher is a highly sensitive machine, and things can definitely go wrong. Age is a huge factor here. In a youthful brain, those AQP-4 channels are perfectly polarized, meaning they're exactly where they need to be, rapidly clearing out 7 to 8% of that soluble amyloid-beta every single hour. But as we age, our arteries stiffen up. They start acting like rusted pipes, which weakens the fluid's momentum. Even worse, those vital AQP-4 channels actually migrate to the wrong part of the cell. This physical breakdown isn't minor. It can lead to a staggering 40% reduction in your brain's ability to clear out amyloid waste. The plumbing basically just gets clogged.
And it's not just natural aging. Our daily habits can actively sabotage this plumbing system. Sleep deprivation, that immediately spikes toxic amyloid-beta levels. Fragmented sleep restricts the fluid flow. But here is perhaps the most surprising finding. Chemically knocking yourself out doesn't work. Researchers found that artificially inducing sleep with certain sedatives, like zolpidem, which a lot of people know as Ambien, actually suppresses this glymphatic activity. You might be completely unconscious, but your brain's dishwasher is basically unplugged. So logging hours in bed just isn't enough. You absolutely need natural, healthy sleep architecture to actually power those pumps.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, optimizing your brain's cleanup.
Now that we know how the machine works and exactly what breaks it, how can we actively maintain it? Well, the good news is you can start tonight for free just by changing your sleep posture. Dynamic MRI scans show that simply sleeping on your right side makes this glymphatic cleaning process vastly more efficient than sleeping on your back or your stomach. By sleeping on your right side, you're perfectly leveraging gravity and internal nerve positioning to maximize the drain of that cerebral spinal fluid out of your head. It is quite literally an evolutionary trick we can all use right now.
Beyond just how you lay in bed, your daytime habits are basically your preventative maintenance. Voluntary aerobic exercise, like going for a run, actively reduces inflammation and boosts the efficiency of those crucial AQP-4 channels. Intermittent fasting actually alters protein ratios to allow fluid to flow more freely through the brain tissue. Eating a diet rich in marine omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, protects those cellular channels. And even those traditional Unani herbs like ustachadus are being studied right now for their historical success in supporting this exact brain-sweeping process. Basically, every single healthy habit plays a part.
So, as researchers look toward the future, we are left with a really truly provocative question. If we can perfectly optimize our diet, our exercise, and our sleep posture, could we eventually master our brain's cleanup system enough to just thrive on less sleep? Just imagine accelerating this internal dishwasher so efficiently that a full night's waste is entirely cleared in just a few hours. The implications for human performance and longevity are simply staggering.
It's an absolutely incredible frontier of neuroscience happening right under our noses every single night. Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating science with us today on This Explainer. If you found this valuable, please go ahead and hit like, share it with a friend, and subscribe so you don't miss out on future deep dives. And hey, for your physical well-being while you're actually awake, be sure to visit the clinic link right there to check out Dr. Gangahar Physiotherapy and Rehabilitation Center for all your physical therapy and emergency pain relief needs. Keep optimizing those habits and have a great night's sleep.